Yo, yo, yo. How we doing, everybody? I'm back again. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I don't know exactly when the next video after this is going to be. But, I just wanted to come on here and talk to you guys for a little bit in reference to football and the Eagles and Chiefs Super Bowl. Obviously, it's not the Super Bowl everybody wanted. Early in the season, the prediction was Lions and Bills. As the season went on, the Lions stayed there, but it kind of alternated between the Lions or the Bills, Chiefs, and Ravens in the AFC. And then as it went on, the Ravens were kind of not in the mix as much, and it was mainly between the Chiefs and Bills in people's predictions. And then once Buffalo knocked out Baltimore, going into conference title weekend, this is probably the most wanted Super Bowl matchup was Lions and Bills going into divisional week, not conference titles, excuse me. Going into divisional round week, the most wanted Super Bowl was probably Lions and Bills again. In terms of overall matchup and two teams you've never seen in the Super Bowl, or one team you've seen there and they haven't won, another team you've never seen there at all. So, two teams that have never won a Super Bowl battling it out for the right to win their first. That's the Super Bowl everybody wanted. And then once Detroit got knocked out by Washington, which was the shock of the playoffs, the most favored Super Bowl matchup that everybody was saying they wanted, from what I understand, turned out to be Commanders and Bills. Because for some reason, obviously we know why nobody wanted the Chiefs. That one was obvious. Why nobody wanted the Chiefs was obvious. Let me flip you guys this way so you can see better. There we go. Why nobody wanted the Chiefs? That much is obvious. People didn't want the Eagles either because for some reason people were including the Eagles into the conversation with, they get help from the refs and they cheat and this and that. So for some reason the Eagles were being thrown in that conversation as well. So people just didn't want to see either team in the Super Bowl, or if they saw one, they wanted to see the Eagles, and they wanted it to be Eagles and Bills. That was my prediction, honestly. Once I saw the Commanders knocked out the Lions, I said going into the playoffs, the only team in the NFC side that scares me as an Eagles fan is the Lions. Well, when the Commanders knocked them out of play, when the Commanders knocked them out in the divisional round, was I surprised? Yeah, because it was the shock of the playoffs and one of the biggest shockers in the entire league in over the last 5 to 10 years. But I wasn't entirely scared of the Commanders because we had faced them 2 other times this season. First time we played them, we blew them out. Second time we played them, they didn't beat us at full strength because we had Tanner McKee in at quarterback and a couple other guys were out dealing with injuries as well. So they didn't beat us at full strength. And plus, going into that week in the regular season, we had started 2-2 and then won 15 of our last 16 games. with the only win, with the only loss coming to the Commanders, which again was when we were not at full strength. So I wasn't entirely scared of that team because, we had a team that just 2 years ago had been in the Super Bowl. And for the most part, a majority of those players that were in that game were still here. Jalen Hurts was there 2 years ago, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Landon Dickerson. Pretty much our entire offensive line was there. Pretty much our entire offense was there. Defense was where the questions rose with, people who weren't in the Super Bowl with us 2 years ago and didn't, weren't there to experience what it's like to, fight for that kind of opportunity to play in that kind of game. Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Saquon Barkley, guys like that, the rookies and the new additions were the only question marks with how they would step up with an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl on the line. And they stepped up tremendously. Saquon Barkley did what the fuck he did all season long. He put on an absolute clinic. First play of the game for the Eagles, he takes it 60 yards for a touchdown. And from then on out, it was just a clinic. The Commanders kept it close early, but it was after the Eagles adjusted and made the adjustments, it was just gone. It was over with. And as for the others that, were questionable because they had never played in a game of that caliber with that kind of opportunity hanging in the balance, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Zach Bond, Mitchell and DeJean, obviously rookies. Zach Bond, obviously a converted defensive end and special teamer who came from the Saints. He switched to linebacker when he left the Saints, and we took the bargain on him. As a linebacker needy team, we took the bargain on Zach Bond, a guy who had played defensive end for the earlier part of his career and had primarily been used on special teams in New Orleans. And we took the gamble, and it paid off for us tremendously because he has developed into one of the best. He's easily developed into our best linebacker. He's developed into one of the best linebackers in the league. And he's developed into an absolute force. And now, granted, the success of our defense can obviously be credited to Vic Fangio coming over. And, you pair a guy with his kind of track record with success with defenses with a defense that has so many, that has the perfect mix of established vets plus, young upcoming stars and some young already established stars that are only just entering the prime of their careers. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Isaiah Rodgers, guys like that, are still entering the prime years of their career, still young but also proven already. Obviously, Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell we didn't know because they're rookies, but besides them, all the others I mentioned, they were proven, but they're still young and developing and in their prime years. So you pair all that with one of the better defensive coordinators and one of the better defensive-minded coaches in football, and it's a recipe for success. And that's exactly what the Eagles defense has had this year. Same thing with the offense. Kellen Moore, he's a widely known and highly regarded offensive coordinator with a good track record of good offenses. He comes over as our offensive coordinator, and immediately you could tell the impact. Our offense is running way better than it did last year, especially down the stretch. Our offense is running way better than it did last year, especially down the stretch. we're actually able to move the ball down the field. We actually don't need to utilize Jalen Hurts on every single play. You know, we don't need to ask Jalen Hurts to play hero ball now. So, anyway, enough about the Eagles. Moving on to the Super Bowl matchup. Eagles and Chiefs, like I said, probably not the matchup anybody wanted to see. But it's what we got. Eagles and Chiefs round 2. First matchup was 2 years ago. We saw how that went. Jalen Hurts almost beat Pat Mahomes, and a lot of people said that overall, when you look at the stat sheet, Jalen Hurts outplayed Patrick Mahomes and fell just short of getting the job done. So 2 years later, we run it back. How is this one going to go? Obviously, we won't know yet. We'll find out February 9th. But as it stands currently, the Eagles, if you paid attention to football all season, there wasn't a team that played more sound, more consistent, and more solid football than the Philadelphia Eagles. Not even the Lions played as consistent football as the Eagles. And the Lions finished with the number 1 seed and blew a lot of teams out this year and were very dominant at stretches of the season this year. Their problem was they had 19 players on injured reserve, and more than half of those players were starters. So it was bound to catch up to them eventually. Did I think it was going to catch up to them that early? No. I expected it to catch up to them either against us in the conference title game or against the Bills in the Super Bowl. But it caught up to them way earlier than I expected. It caught up to them with the Commanders, and the Commanders exposed them for that. But, yeah, there's not a team playing more fundamentally sound football, playing more consistent football, playing more aggressive and football, and more win now football than the Philadelphia Eagles. Not even the Chiefs, who are their opponents for the Super Bowl. Not even the Chiefs are playing the consistent kind of football that the Eagles are playing. So again, I don't know if the Eagles can win the Super Bowl. But if there's a team that can knock off the Chiefs and stop them from getting the three-peat, it's the Eagles. And if there's a team that could stop the Eagles' offense dead in its tracks, if there's a defense that could stop the Eagles' offense dead in its tracks, and an offense that could make the Eagles' defense look foolish, it's the defense and the offense of the Chiefs. If there's any defensive tackle that could make Saquon Barkley's day hell and not allow him any fucking room at all, it's Chris Jones. If there's any quarterback that could make our defense look absolutely fucking silly and exploit the younger and, the inexperienced guys in our secondary, like Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, it's Patrick Mahomes. Will that happen? Not sure. Do I want it to happen? Absolutely not. But I think it's going to be a good game again, like the last one was. And, obviously, Eagles fan inside of me is really rooting for us to come out on top because they're my team. I'm obviously going to root for my team in the fucking Super Bowl. But the casual football fan in me is saying and is pretty certain that the Chiefs are going to end up three-peating. Because if that wasn't the idea, if that wasn't the quest, if that wasn't the topic for this season, is the Chiefs three-peating and winning 3 straight Super Bowls, the Chiefs would have lost in the AFC Championship. The Chiefs representing the AFC in the Super Bowl instead of the Bills shows me that the NFL's narrative for this season is the Chiefs three-peating. Now, could they completely go against that and say, fuck it, the Eagles are winning it this time? Yeah. And I'll be happy. But I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I feel like the narrative for the season was always Chiefs three-peating. Because if that wasn't the case, the roster they have, not capable of going 15-1. Without them three-peating being the narrative for the season. They don't go 15-1 without that narrative. That roster is not built for that. 13, 14, 12 to 14 wins at most for that team with the way they're built right now. Maybe even 11. Sorry, not sorry to the Chiefs fans that may watch this video, but it's the truth. You guys, without the refs' help, you're an 11, and without that narrative that you guys are going to three-peat, being the narrative for the season, you guys are a 9 to 11 win team at average, and at best a 13 to 14 win team. But again, without that narrative, they don't go 15-1, and without that narrative, the Chiefs do not beat the Bills in the AFC Championship, if they even beat the Texans in the divisional round. Without the narrative that the Chiefs must three-peat, and that the Chiefs are gonna three-peat being a thing and being the narrative for the season, the Bills are in the Super Bowl. That's all I'm saying. And that's why, even as an Eagles fan, the football fan in me is saying, don't get your hopes up that your team's going to win, because there's a high chance that they're not, and you should expect it by now. And that's what I do. I'm expecting the Chiefs to win, and that's why I'm not getting my hopes up. I have work that day, so I won't be able to watch the game, of course, so I'll be monitoring it on my phone as I get the opportunity to while I'm at work. But those other days, those other days, well, not those other days, but after I get home from work, I'm going to watch the highlights, and I'm going to see if the Eagles won. I'm going to see how the fuck we pulled it off. If we lost, I'm going to watch the highlights and see exactly how they did some bullshit to where the Chiefs three-peated. Because you already know there's going to be some bad fucking calls. There's going to be some really questionable fucking calls. And they're most likely going to lead to the Chiefs getting extra yards or an extra opportunity to score or an extra opportunity to get a first down or something or another. You already know that if there's any bullshit with bad calls or anything, it's going to most likely be that the shit is going in the Chiefs' favor and that the bad call comes on some bullshit that penalizes the Eagles. But again, I work that day, so I'm not going to be able to watch the game, so I'll be monitoring it on my phone as I get the chance. And that's why I'm honestly glad I work that day and won't be able to watch the game, because I already know that even though I'm listening to my head and my heart, which are both telling me don't get excited and don't get your hopes up that your team's going to win, because they're probably not going to. It's probably going to be a Chiefs three-peat. Even with that, I know that if I was sitting there watching the game on TV, physically sitting there in my house watching the game, especially if there's any bullshit calls and shit that, help the Chiefs win, I would freak the fuck out and I would lose my fucking cool. So I'm glad I worked that day, because I won't have to put myself or anybody around me through that fucking shit. So regardless of what happens, I think it's going to be a good game. And if Mahomes gets the best of Hurts again, it is what it is. We'll be back again. We said we'd be back after the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Was I expecting us to be back this fucking soon? Absolutely not. Especially not after the season we had last year. But we're back. And if we lose this time around, we'll be back again. How many years will it be? Fuck if I know. But we'll be back again. And hopefully, when we go back again, Jalen Hurts is still there. And he has the opportunity to get himself a ring. Because the narrative with this new NFL is clearly Mahomes has to win all the time. And guys like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud, Justin Herbert, guys like that can't win anything and can't win anymore or can't win anything because Mahomes exists. And that's why a lot of people say this era of the NFL, in terms of who the powerhouse is way more insufferable than the Patriots dynasty era was. Because even though the Patriots dominated, even though the Patriots won 6 Super Bowls, even though Tom Brady dominated and won like 3 or 4 Super Bowl MVPs and like 2 or 3 MVP awards, even though he dominated and even though the Patriots won 6 Super Bowls, at the end of the day, there was elite quarterbacks in the Brady era that still had the chance to get their moment and that still were allowed to eat and get their taste of the big one. Ben Roethlisberger won 2 rings. Drew Brees won a ring. Peyton Manning won 2 rings. There were guys in the Brady era that got the chance to eat and got the chance to feel the glory of winning the big one and got the chance to feel the joy that winning a Super Bowl brings. Not just to one's person, but to one's career as an athlete. In this new era, there's no other elite quarterback not named Patrick Mahomes getting given an opportunity to eat and to experience that glory and experience that joy. There's been one quarterback besides Patrick Mahomes that's considered an elite quarterback that has graced the Super Bowl since this Chiefs dynasty started. And it was Joe Burrow. And he fucking flopped. I don't know if that's what scared the NFL away from allowing other teams with elite quarterbacks to eat and get their chance at glory or what. But besides that Joe Burrow era and that Joe Burrow Super Bowl, the last 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls have had Patrick Mahomes. And the way it's looking, that's never going to change. You know, if the Super Bowl theory rings true, even last year, last year's Super Bowl logo was red and purple. Everybody thought that Lamar Jackson was going to get his chance to eat. Everybody thought it was going to be either Lamar Jackson or Kirk Cousins that got their chance to eat. And then once the Vikings did shitty, everybody thought it was going to be Lamar Jackson's chance to eat because the red and purple. And once the 49ers made it, everybody was like, there's no chance the Chiefs make it. Because if the logo is red and purple, then the only purple team left on this conference championship weekend is the Ravens. So the Ravens have to make it because the logo is purple. But the Chiefs ended up winning. So the only time that the Super Bowl logo theory didn't fully ring true was last year. And it still kind of rang true because Taylor Swift came into the picture last year, and there's famous picture, there's really popular and really known pictures of her wearing a purple dress. So although the Chiefs themselves don't wear purple uniforms or have anything purple in their logo, they're still associated with the color purple because of Taylor Swift. So, there's obviously that chance that the Super Bowl logo theory is wrong. But so far, the only year it's been wrong where the two teams playing didn't directly correlate to the colors in the logo was last year. Because if they did, it would have been either Chiefs and Vikings or 49ers and Ravens. And looking at how the conference titles were, it would have been 49ers and Ravens if the logo theory rang true. Fully true, anyway. If the logo theory rings true, but again, the other years it rang true. This year it was red and green. The two teams playing in it are Chiefs and Eagles. Red and green. 2 years ago, it was red and green. The two teams playing in it, Chiefs and Eagles. The year before that, it was blue and orange, or yellow and orange. Bengals and Rams played. The year before that, I don't remember what the color was, but it directly correlated to the teams that were playing in it. So if that logo theory rings true again, then next year, we're not in for the Eagles being in the Super Bowl. We're not in for the Chiefs being in the Super Bowl. We're not in for the Bengals or the Ravens. If the logo theory rings true again, fully, next year, it's looking like it's going to be Bills and Lions in the Super Bowl. And they're going to give us the matchup that we wanted this year, a year later, next year, in Super Bowl 60. So, again, that's if the logo theory rings true. I don't know if it is. I don't really usually believe in stuff like that in terms of conspiracy theories. But, it's one of those things where the evidence is there that's how you know who's going to be in the Super Bowl. Because the only year over the last 5 years, the only Super Bowl over the last 5 Super Bowls that didn't have a direct correlation to logo, to the colors in the logo, was last year when it was red and purple, and it should have been 49ers and Ravens, and it was 49ers and Chiefs. But I'm going to head out because it's late. And I do gotta go to bed soon because I got work tomorrow. And I don't like waking up super late because I like to, wake up and have time to fully wake up and get dressed and, take a shower and all that shit. So I like to have time to do all that in the morning. So I like to wake up somewhat early, around, 7:30, 8 o'clock. Usually I wake up, sometimes 8:30 or 9. And if I know I don't have to shower, I usually wake up early or wake up later, because then I don't have to worry about doing that because it's one less thing. But tomorrow I have to shower, so I have to get up early. But so I'm gonna get out of here so I can talk to my girlfriend a little bit before I go to bed, and then go to sleep. And I got work tomorrow. But we'll see what happens on the 9th. Hopefully the Eagles win. If not, it is what it is. We all expected it. It's nothing fucking new anymore. And as for when I'll see you guys again after this, I don't know. I may do a video on Saturday for the Royal Rumble, giving my predictions of surprise entrants, who I think could win, or who I think's gonna win, predictions for the non-Rumble matches. So I think if I do that, that's the next time you guys will see a video from me. If not, then I don't know. Because, like I said, I'm slowly starting to wean down, the uploading of content on socials that I upload content on, so I could prepare myself for the full, you know, thing to come where I get the whole thing I have in motion finally fully done and can bring you guys the content I want to bring. But I'm going to get out of here before I ramble on too much more. I love y'all. Thank y'all for sticking by me. Thank y'all for coming out. Hope you liked the video. Make sure you like, comment, leave your comments on the Super Bowl down below. Let me know if you expected this matchup, if you wanted this matchup, if you who you think's gonna win, who you think the Super Bowl MVP is gonna be, how you think the halftime show is gonna go. Just leave some comments. Let's start a discussion. And obviously, make sure you share it with your friends. If you like the video, make sure you share it. And I will catch you on the next one. Peace.